up every year, right? A little bit about Jeremy here. Is marketing strategist running leads.net, the tech, which is an internet marketing company focused on lead generation for small businesses. He has been working in the computer field as a specialist since 1987. Jeremy has been building and marketing on the internet since 1997. GetLeads.tech has been in business since last year, June 2018, and is successfully helping other businesses with their marketing. Please help me welcome Jeremy.
Thank you. Feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions throughout here. I'll try and take them as I go through. I do have a handout. It is essentially my resources for this talk. I think I have a few extras, so feel free to just leave them at the end and I'll pick them up later.
Thank you, sir.
Now, for creating a marketing plan, there's a reason that you want to create it. Even if you're an independent sales rep, an independent representative of your business, you own your own business, or even someone who goes out and just makes sales calls, having your own marketing plan allows you to kind of define your situation and the best steps to take for your business. The first step to do is to take a snapshot of your company's current situation. What that typically means is you want to do a situation analysis, which is basically an overview of where your company is right now. Kind of their strengths, their weaknesses, and all the different opportunities you have inside your business. And that can be a lot of different things. It can be an opportunity to expand, opportunity to grow in a certain area, new ways of marketing, but you kind of need to know where your situation is before you start marketing. And that includes also like budget and everything else as well. Outside of that, you also want to look at your external opportunities. Now those are opportunities, again, to expand into your market, as well as maybe new products or new services that you can offer. In addition to that, you can want to look for external threats. These are your competition typically, but in addition to that, it can also mean market changes, or how your marketing is going to change as if it's cyclical. Some sales professions are quite cyclical, they go up and down, so you end up having to change your marketing strategy over the year as you go. Now, what you really want to do is think about how you want to distinguish your product from its competitors, or your service. How are you different? It doesn't necessarily mean are you cheaper. It could mean your service has a much higher service quality, or much higher quality of product itself, or it is made in a certain manner in a certain location. Those are all things that you want to define about your product. Now, these things help you kind of figure out what type of buyer is most likely to purchase your product. Once you know your situation and kind of go through all your opportunities, threats, and you can distinguish your product really clearly from your competitors, you can really define what kind of buyer you're looking for. Buyer is someone who is ready to hand you cash right now for your service and product. Not necessarily somebody who's interested in your product. They're your market. They're the people you're going to be marketing to. So you're looking for the buyers ideally. And that's going to be a small percentage of your market. So at that point, that's where you want to define who your target audience is. Simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. They do extensive demographic sheets for a lot of market businesses when you're doing sales. But we're talking about a really simple business plan. Something that describes a person, a single person typically, like Jane, who buys internet marketing services and doesn't have any experience marketing on the internet before and is looking to expand her business. She may own a small coffee shop and is marketing online through Facebook. That's a really tight definition, And you just want to define who your profile is. For business to business, that's different. You're going to be typically talking to other businesses. So you need to kind of define what is your ideal style of business to contact. Typically that would be a secondary business, like if you're selling services to another business, like I do. It would be a small business who doesn't have their own marketing branch yet, is looking to market on the internet, maybe has tried to before but hasn't successfully, and is looking to expand. That is kind of a very simple profile for a business-to-business marketing setup. After that, you want to make a SMART goal. Simple, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. I mean, we've all heard this over and over again, but it is critical to have goals for it. They have to be very specific. For example, for this year, I want 10 new clients for my business. And these are clients that are on retainer, who are very specific and are staying with me over the long term, as opposed to somebody who's just trying me out or using me for a temporary consulting. So I have a lot of clients who are kind of in those ranges as well, and they're good for initial income, but they're not good for long-term stability. So that's an example of a very specific goal for me. You want it to be optimistic, so it has to be achievable, but higher than you would expect. You don't want to say, oh, I only want 5 people this year. You want to go higher than that if you can. Think of your first goal and maybe double it. You just want it just out of reach. Like if you almost make your goal, you're still going to be really happy that it's a great year. That would be fair. And you also want it to be very realistic. You can't say I want 300 clients by the end of the year. While some people might be able to achieve that, that's 1 client a day for most people. That is not something that everybody can do and is realistic. So you have to kind of gauge that realm for yourself, for your business. Now, for these goals, you want both short and long-term goals. Typically, I do a short-term goal between a month and 3 months, and say I'm going to have these specific activities I'm going to do and work on these specific targets for gaining new clients. And long-term wise, I'm going to work on the actual 10 clients that I'm building up. So I'm actually talking with a lot of different companies. I'm actually talking with all these different businesses, constantly talking back and forth. And those are long-term relationships, just like networking is. And when you establish a long-term relationship, that really helps build the likelihood that it's going to be a long-term business for you if they ever decide to buy from you. Otherwise, they might be a great referral partner. I have somebody who I'm working with directly who has come on as a trial and has become a great referral partner, who has actually connected to me with 3 other businesses and a couple other people who has helped me significantly. So don't discount relationships. They get very important for your marketing plan. Now, for marketing tactics, these are the specific activities that you're going to do for marketing. They can be wide and varied. They're typically used to reach your prospects and accomplish these actual specific goals. So they could be things that target your prospects at all stages of your sales cycle. What that means is that you could be somebody who you're targeting specifically just buyers, somebody who's interested and is aware of your company, which is typically called a hot lead, a warm lead, which is somebody who knows they have a problem and but doesn't know who to talk to, which is considered a warm lead, and cold leads are people who don't know they have a problem necessarily, don't even know who you are. And each of those steps can be advertised too. Now, examples for the specific tactics that you would use are phone one-on-one meetings like networking events, advertising specifically like billboards. You can also do public relations releases. The PR releases to news will actually often bring in quite a lot of activity, meaning you'll get interviews, sometimes radio spots and TV spots, just from a simple PR release. Direct marketing, which is mailings that have tracking directly in it, so you can track the activity that comes from the mailings. Those can actually be quite profitable if done correctly. They typically have 2 to 3 times their return on income or more. Some of them have significantly higher. So, internet marketing, which is another branch of direct marketing, it specifically is my side of the business where we focus on doing tracked responses on the type of advertising we do. Outside of that is email marketing, which is another type of internet marketing where you're constantly connecting to your customers, you're responding to their questions, you're kind of wanting to keep on mind on top of them. What that means is that you have what is called a drip campaign, something that sends out a message every week to 2 weeks, and that drip campaign lets them know that you're still out there, that you have new services to offer, that you're offering them information in addition to anything else, and giving them a benefit just for being a member of their email list. And outside of that is loyalty programs and events. Events is something like this. This is actually considered a event, but a loyalty program is where somebody has a membership card, like at Red Robin, where you have a membership royalty program, and that gives you bonuses for coming in at certain times. It gives you free exchanges for what is it called, burgers and fries. They also give you bonus points for certain other activities, and that encourages you to actually use their system a lot more. Now, ideally, you want to outline your primary marketing strategies and then include the tactics you'll use. A marketing strategy is your overall goal. So you want to capture all your new buyers and the hot leads coming in. And how you're going to do that is you can use specific measures of tactics. You're going to do phone calls directly to local businesses who are advertising, and maybe do one-on-one meetings with them. And from there, you're going to keep in contact with them. I mean, that's a very simple sales process, but breaking it down, that gives you the definition of how to use a strategy inside of that. Outside of that, you want to identify your ideal marketing mix. Now, an ideal marketing mix is a complicated subject, but realistically, it means that each market is different. Your clients and your customers who are going to be using your services and products, whether in B2B or in B2C customers, are going to be consuming media and advertising in different manners, especially if you have specific ranges of targets. What that means is that if say your services are targeted towards elderly, 60 and above, they may be on Facebook, but they might not necessarily be that active on it. They probably won't be on Instagram, so you probably won't have that on there. But they might be very responsive to mailings and phone calls. So it really depends on the specific details of your market. And that is where defining your market is really, really important. If you know exactly who your people are and who your buyers are going to be, you can target to them very tightly. And that makes a very efficient and very cost-effective marketing plan. So let's see.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you also need to want to know really what market you want to go after, or work towards, or work with?
Yes, that is part of defining your market. So you might have multiple markets. So if you have a service that actually applies across a wide range, what you do is you start with picking one, and usually your core market, somebody who gives you between 40 to 80% of your income, and target them first. The Pareto's law, you want to do the 80% first. the small chunk that actually gives you the largest amount of return. And then define down into the other markets. And you would go through the same steps. You would define the client, then define the market you're going after, and try and define the type of tactics. And you might find out that different ones have different tactics, and you have to have a separate marketing plan for each one. Or they might be very similar. If they are very similar, you can merge them together into a single marketing campaign. And that way, they don't have a wide variety of costs associated with that. Anything else? No. Okay. Now,
What successes do you have, Jeremy? Which one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite? My favorite was one I had a long time ago. It was my largest success, where I was working as a webmaster for a small company that I came in on. They had a small budget starting off at $100,000, and they grew in 9 or 10 months to $2.8 million. All from web advertising. We had a very specific marketing budget, and we utilized at the time what was called affiliate marketing. So people came in and they marketed for us, and it penetrated the market really well. We had a great offer, and people were very interested in our products. And the company actually got bought out by another company in Florida, which was unfortunate for me because I wasn't moving to Florida. So, but it was a great company. That is my greatest experience in helping build a company, and I really enjoyed that. Outside of that, I've had a lot of experiences with small businesses, helping target them. Loan officers are the ones I've been focusing on a lot lately, just due to the fact that they have a lot of needs in my specific area, and they tend to get really good response rates for the tactics that I'm using. My tactics are doing advertising on Facebook. From there, it goes to a specific survey campaign, which means that someone fills out information. That survey campaign then gets submitted to the loan officer, and from there, they also get submitted to a follow-up campaign. And I'm getting really good statistics off that. I'm getting like a 60% response rate from the leads I'm getting, which is about 5 times higher than marketing standard, and 5 to 15% application rate. Now, these are statistics that are specific for the people I'm targeting, and that's because I know that audience very clearly. Any other question?
No.
I know that was a lot of info, so.
No, it's pretty good.
Now, what's really important, you have to set your marketing budget, and that will help define your tactics, and will actually help define where you're going to go with the marketing as you grow. So the typical advice is to devote a percentage of your gross sales or your annual marketing budget. That's something like 20% is what is typically advertised. That is a good rule to follow, but it's really hard when you're, say, commission-based. So you have to be consistent over long-term for marketing. That is what is the most important thing on long-term marketing, is having a consistent budget going forward. So you might want to reduce that 20% to a smaller amount and stretch it out over a range of time. Now, you have to realize that marketing is absolutely essential for any business. Everything you're doing, networking, connecting with other people, it is all a form of marketing. And if you're not consistent with it, your business will start to see very large swings. If you see, if your business is not typically cyclical, meaning it goes up and down with the holidays, but you're seeing large swings, it's most likely due to the fact of activity in your business for sales. What you're doing is rushing around, doing a lot of tactics, and then suddenly you get a lot of business coming in, so those tactics get put to the side, and then they fall down again. So what you need is a consistent marketing strategy that continues on even while you're working with your clients. It's something that can happen in the background, or someone else can handle at the same time, and that you can basically put on autopilot. Now, looking free. There are tactics out there that are completely free. One of them is networking. Done correctly, you can network with people for essentially zero cost except for gas and maybe parking. There are ways around that too if you bike. So, there's a lot of possibility out there, especially with the internet nowadays. If you're very active on the internet, say posting on Instagram and Facebook, those are free marketing tactics that can actually work really well if done consistently. And that big key is consistency. You don't want to concern yourself with costly tactics if you can't afford them. Like expensive advertising budgets that you can do once every 6 months may give you a burst of business, but it's not going to be consistent in the long term. It is something that you can plan for and use that to kind of bootstrap yourself up into a long-term plan. But you have to kind of think about what is important for the long term. And also, if you do a large marketing blast, is what they sometimes call it, you can get overwhelmed, and that can kill your business. Like, you can literally, all your quality goes down, your services go down, you suddenly have more clients than you can handle, which in most cases is a great problem to have, but you have to be cautious about it. So, goal is never stop marketing and continue on from there.